A scary rental, we avoided the worst. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Tony, and I live in Paris. This summer, with the ongoing health crisis, I decided to stay in France and head south for vacation, specifically in the Provence-Alpes-Côte d'Azur region. Unfortunately, things didn't go as planned. I'm sharing this story so that everyone can be aware that you need to be cautious at all times, especially when you're in a place where you don't know anyone. My girlfriend and I decided to go to the Provence-Alpes-Côte d'Azur region for vacation. We rented an apartment on Airbnb, as we had done several times before without any issues. We had seen various photos of the apartment, and we were confident in our choice, especially since the apartment was located in a private residence in the city center. As you may know, you usually have the option to see the photo of the property owner, but this time there was none. To avoid potential problems, let's call the owner Paul. On the day of departure, we were excited to explore the Provence-Alpes-Côte d'Azur region. The trip went smoothly, and we arrived a bit early. We decided to explore the city before being able to check into the apartment at 6 p.m. Around 5:50 p.m., we went to the apartment address. I parked my car on the street where the residence was located. We received a message from Paul saying he would arrive in 10 minutes. 10 minutes passed, and we stood in front of the residence entrance. A man got out of his car and called out to us, asking, "Are you the ones who rented my apartment?" Instinctively, I replied, "Yes," asking if he was Paul. The man confirmed that he was Paul, and we felt reassured. He was well dressed, definitely not sketchy. Paul led us to his apartment, passing through the exterior parking lot of the residence before reaching the building. The apartment was on the 3rd floor, and there was an elevator, convenient, you might say. First observation, the apartment was slightly different, nothing shocking, from what was shown in the photos. At first, I wasn't bothered because the owner could have changed the decoration. Second observation, it didn't look like the apartment was for rent at all, for several reasons. There were crumbs on the table and dishes stored on the sink, as if someone lived here permanently. To be honest, it didn't bother me much because I thought Paul might live here and rent out the apartment occasionally. In essence, I didn't care much about the apartment not being super clean, all I wanted was to enjoy my vacation. Yet, it should have raised a red flag. One thing that alarmed me and put me on guard was Paul's behavior. Why? Well, he started giving us advice on where to store our belongings in the apartment. For example, in the bedroom, there was a small shelf with storage drawers, and Paul told us it was a good place to keep our wallets and valuable jewelry. The tone of his voice suggested that we should store our valuable items in these drawers, as if he wanted to know where we would keep our precious belongings. Then, I noticed that Paul was asking us more and more personal questions. He wanted to know if we had family here, if we were familiar with the surroundings, if it was our first time here, if we lived far away, etc. Initially, I said we had family here, which was not true. I think my instinct told me to be wary of this person. I'm telling you this in a detailed manner, but keep in mind that it happened in a maximum of 10 minutes. At first glance, if you're not paranoid, you might think there's nothing abnormal about this situation. Paul was probably just a curious person. Except that the worst was yet to come. The tour was about to end, and Paul was supposed to leave us the keys. Before he left, I had an urgent need to use the bathroom. My girlfriend stayed to chat with Paul. I went to wash my hands, and my phone vibrated. On my phone screen, I saw Paul's number. I found it strange. Why would Paul send me a message if he's in the next room? I opened my phone and froze. Paul had sent me, "Sorry for the delay, my car broke down on the way. I'll be there in 15 to 20 minutes." I saw that the message was sent a minute ago. I quickly realized that if Paul's car had broken down, then the man with us was not Paul. I was in total panic. I left the bathroom and tried to keep a poker face as best as I could. The fake Paul asked if everything was okay. I said yes, and I asked my girlfriend to come with me to unload the car. I planned to leave immediately and inform the police without the stranger noticing anything. The problem was that the fake Paul insisted on helping us unload, and I thought he might try something once our suitcases were in the apartment: assault, theft, etc. I went along with his game and told him to wait at the elevator so he could take the suitcases and put them in the apartment while my girlfriend and I unloaded the car. My girlfriend and I went downstairs while the fake Paul waited for the suitcases on the 3rd floor as planned. Once on the ground floor, I quickly told my girlfriend everything and showed her the message. She was in a panic. I told her that the best course of action was to call the police and then go to the real Paul. My girlfriend called the police and explained the situation while I asked Paul if he was coming soon. The police said they would be on the scene in about 10 minutes. I took my car with my girlfriend, and I decided to park it on the street opposite the residence in case the fake Paul came down to look for us. The real Paul sent me a message saying he had arrived. We joined him, and immediately I felt reassured. The man in front of me inspired confidence. We then decided to tell him the whole story in 2 minutes, describing the man pretending to be him, etc. Paul immediately understood our distress. He told us that he thought he knew who the man pretending to be him was. It turns out that the man was named Lorenzo, who lived in an apartment in the same residence as Paul. According to Paul, Lorenzo was a tenant. The police arrived, and we decided to lead them to the residence. When we arrived in the residence parking lot, we saw a silhouette in the distance. It was Lorenzo. When he saw the police, he went completely mad, insulting us and saying it was our fault he ended up like this. His speech was incomprehensible. He had gone completely crazy. The police arrested him, and we didn't hear from Lorenzo for 3 days. In the meantime, we were able to settle into Paul's real apartment, which matched the photos perfectly and was perfectly clean. The police called us 3 days after our arrival. It turns out that Lorenzo had just lost his job due to the health crisis, and his landlord had evicted him from the apartment for non-payment of rent. Furthermore, Lorenzo seemed to have an addiction to cannabis, explaining his mood swings. The police believe that Lorenzo intended to steal as many valuable items from us as possible to sell or worse. Lorenzo was placed under police surveillance until a behavioral diagnosis could be made by a doctor. So, that's my story. Apart from that, our vacation went well, although we were a bit on edge at first, and even a bit during the vacation, I admit. All this to say, be careful when renting something in a place where you don't know anyone. If possible, ask for a photo of the property owner. I hope this story can help you one day, you never know.